Hello, everybody. Really pleased to be here today to talk you through our journey to Beehive Money and how we are looking to build relevance in younger savers in their digital world. Just a little bit about us to start with. We're a regional building society formed in 1849 by our founder Samuel Fox. We have total assets of around about £4 billion and a branch network of just under 50 branches. I think one of the things that probably differentiates us a little bit from other societies is how we've combined our traditional building society services of savings and mortgages with a unique access to whole of market advice, whether that is for mortgages or for financial planning. And we've been doing that very successfully in our branches for a number of years. But over the last couple of years or so, we've really started to seriously think about how we can deliver that unique proposition in a digital world as well. And we've been working with our partner Salesforce over that time to do that. And today, I'm really excited to be able to share with you our journey and what we've achieved and delivered in Beehive Money. So if we could just go on to the next slide, please. Creating the case for why digitization is so important, I think, is really well articulated in this table. On the left-hand side, what you have is the picture of consolidation, and that over really the last 50 years or so, we've seen the number of banks and building societies continuing to reduce and decrease to a core. But what started to happen in around about 2010 is we started to see new entrants come into the market, new players, all predominantly driven by new technology, all termed neobanks or digital banks. And you can see the number of those banks really has increased significantly, creating a very, very diverse and competitive marketplace. Next slide, please. And the advantage that we see that some of those digital players have is that they combine new technologies and capabilities to enable consumers to interact with their provider in a very, very different way. And as part of our research to understand really what we wanted to do well, we uncovered a whole host of different approaches that digital banks were taking in terms of engaging customers in a digital age. And we've seen sort of a number of themes arise from a goals, not product based approach, real simplicity in how people expect to be verified, rewarded, integration with data through API, accepting as the norm, a single view of me. I expect you to know me and I expect you to have a single view of me. Streamlined onboarding, incredibly important, looking at using technology to onboard customers in a really effective way. And then once a member, thinking about how you nudge, pre-approve me, educate me, organize me, understand me. It's a very, very different protocol and approach than just banging out a product for customers to use. And when we were really thinking about what we needed to do, we really started to think about what combination of these elements did we want to offer in Beehive Money. Next slide, please. And really just going back to creating that case and why it was really important for us to do that is that I think around about 2019, we reached a little bit of a tipping point, I think, in terms of the age distribution of our membership. And what you can see here on the left-hand side is the age distribution of our members back in 2019. And, it's really very, very clear that the vast majority of our members who saved with us at that point were 55 plus. With a very large proportion of our balances held by members of 70 and above. And clearly that for us is a little bit of a warning signal in terms of a sustainable future as an organisation, but also represents quite a lopsided sort of age demographic. And also it tells us that the service that we need to offer to these customers is very, very different from the one that younger customers want, who want to be engaged in a very, very different way. And so really we felt that the challenge was set for us to enter a world where we would launch Beehive Money in a digital world for younger savers. Next slide, please. A really important part of that partnership is how do you digitize a Victorian-based business model and an organization that's been around for 172 years. And we've been delighted and pleased to work with Salesforce on that. And really the beauty and the simplicity of what we've been able to do is to lay the Salesforce platform over our legacy system. So we've kept our Summit system. The way we run accounts on mortgages and savings remains exactly the same. But the capability that the Salesforce platform has given us is to lay the system of engagement over our legacy systems through some really very clever integration work, particularly with MuleSoft, that have become really expert at integrating modern digital front-end platforms with back-end legacy systems. And that success of being able to integrate effectively has created a really strong foundation for us in terms of how to start to digitize and offer new and innovative approaches to new members. Next slide, please. So with a member base that's sort of predominantly over 55, it was really, really important for us to get out into the world and talk to younger people about what they were looking for from a savings provider in the 21st century, and particularly their understanding of a building society and their expectations of a building society in their digital world. And we spent an enormous amount of time in a whole range of research, whether that was qualitative research, which was a number of focus groups that were held all over the country, where we got really quite different responses by geographic area and also by age demographic. And they were sessions also that we made sure that a number of our executive team attended so that they could hear it from the horse's mouth in terms of people's views and expectations of what they felt good looked like in a digital world. We then started to do some really quite detailed conjunct analysis. And the whole point of that is to start to understand the elasticity and flexibility between proposition and price. I think those of us who've been in the industry for some time would absolutely acknowledge that getting money in is relatively easy if you're willing to price at the top of the market. This means effectively that you are successful in very short bursts and periods, but you're not a consistent presence in the market. And we feel that that's something that actually, to establish a new brand and establish a profile, you need to be in a market all of the time. So the conjoint analysis was really important in terms of understanding where the balance between price and proposition and capability was, and looking to pitch that capability at a point where we feel that we could offer fair value, sustainable pricing. So once we've got our focus group output together, once we've done some of the conjoint analysis along with our partner, we added a fairly hefty quantitative analysis over that to try and basically tease out what we felt the key elements of our digital proposition needed to be. And the results of that were coming up on the next slide. So the research crystallized a number of things for us and really helped us set our objectives and expectations of what we were looking for in Beehive Money. So the first thing was to focus on a digital leadership in tax-free savings. Not surprisingly, with the LISA account really at the forefront of that product set, but not just purely isolated to LISA. But on focusing on a younger sort of cohort of savers, it's reasonable to say that the proportion of them who've got more than £20,000 a year to save is virtually zero. So by focusing on that tax-free market, we can get the very best products to them with the best rates in the most tax-efficient way. And utilize all the benefits the ISA regime provides, whether that's in LISA, whether that's in tax-free savings, or whether that's actually also in stocks and shares and investments. We wanted a proposition which offered our members consistent fair value and a goals-based proposition, which we would evolve over time. So when you log on to Beehive Money now, we want to find out about you, want to understand why you're saving. What are you saving for? How much is that going to need? How long would you like to save for? So that we can help you find the right way to save effectively to achieve those goals. A critical point also in making that proposition come alive was actually transferring our unique proposition as a building society into the digital space. by offering access to whole of market choice and advice through our digital partners through the app. Something which I think really there's only one provider in the market that offers that at the moment. So a very important part for us was to find a digital partner, which we have done with MAB, the Mortgage Advice Bureau. We signed a 10-year deal with them early this year. In fact, we sold our existing whole of market mortgage advice organization to them so that they could focus on providing us the scale and the digital capability so that there could be a seamless move from saving for my first home to understanding what I needed to do to borrow money, what's the best mortgage for me, how do I get myself credit score ready, a whole range of digital tools that are now going to be open. And we're really excited about that being added to Beehive Money in November this year. In addition to focusing on that tax-free range, we've also got a standard range of accounts so that we can use a liquidity approach where we want. But really, the success for Beehive Money for us is looking at building new long-term relationships with customers who want to interact in this way and want a partner who can help them to save, plan and protect for the future. And not surprisingly, one of the key elements of digital is that whilst there is an outlay at the beginning in order to set things up, the scalability of what you can offer means that you have a cheap cost to serve, which allows you to continue to invest in improving the proposition, but also ensure that you can be confident about being able to offer consistent value pricing in the market. So that cost to serve is obviously very, very important. And just to give you a sort of a feel for the scalability that the platform offers you, as part of our sort of soak and load testing that we did pre-launch, we were processing over 50,000 applications an hour through the platform without any service degradation at all. And that's really pretty impressive by any sort of stretch or measure. Okay, so if we just move on to the next slide, please. They were our objectives. A really important part of how you go through things on this is to think about human-centered design. It's not about the product, it's about who's using your service and what are they looking for. And you're looking for hitting a sweet spot of what they really desire, what works from a business perspective, and what is feasible to deliver in terms of your combination. And focusing your capability on that sweet spot really allows you to find the right balance between all of those things. And we looked also at how key sort of journeys and aspirations could be met. So a lot about customer journeys. This is not about a product, it's about a customer journey. And I think that's really well demonstrated on the next slide. Here we have our sort of setup, which looks at the range of customer journeys that we have through each phase of the journey. So whether that starts with awareness all the way through to account closure, what you can see here are the enormous range of customer journeys that can take place within each phase of a customer's life cycle. And it'd be no surprise to you as well is that the significance and the complexity around that onboarding and engagement process, which is absolutely critical to a seamless digital proposition. So it really is how you seamlessly onboard somebody and how you engage them in that early period of their membership. And, you know, we have, as you can see there, 530 customer journeys developed and working within the app. And that really shows the amount of detailed work that needs to go on behind the scenes to make something look as simple as possible, but in actual fact is pretty complex and requires, you know, a lot of discipline and work to deliver well. So next slide, please. And there we have it. We delivered our app. We launched that to our existing members and to our VIBs a couple of weeks ago. We've delivered our first app. You can see some of the pages there. And I think one of the things that we're really proud of is that not only did we build that with our partner Salesforce, but we did it through the pandemic. In fact, none of us were ever in a room together. So it really shows that digital world really in action in that we've sort of managed to develop a class-leading app through a period of crisis, working with a partner where we've never been in a room together. And that's really quite an achievement, we think. But, we're really proud of it. It's arrived probably about 8 to 10 weeks later than we would have perfectly wanted, but on budget. And I think in any sort of large and complex project, you've probably got to be happy with that. So if we can just move on to the next slide, please. Obviously, Beehive Money is here. It's giving people an opportunity to save for a brighter future. And this demo really is just going to give you a quick taster of what it's like to be a Beehive member. So if we could play the video, that'd be great. Thank you. So there you go. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it as exciting as we did. We love watching that video, and we have really, really enjoyed over the last 2 or 3 weeks watching real members go through those journeys. So we've already got customers taking mortgages with us through the app. We've got members registering goals, adding accounts, adding balances. And I think the one thing that really, strikes a chord and demonstrates how important this is that if I talk about our age distribution now in the society, even today, in the early stages of our journey on Beehive Money, we already have almost 60,000 members now saving with us in Beehive Money who are under the age of 40. And that 60% represents just over 20% of the membership. So in a relatively short space of time, we have been able to make that shift to have a younger membership as a reasonable proportion of our total base. And we hope that really within a year, we would probably get to a point where half of our members will be under the age of 40. They'll be strong advocates of Beehive Money and saving and planning and protecting their future with us going forward. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that quick whistle-stop tour through our journey on Beehive Money. And please come and join us in the Hive and become a member. You'd be really welcome. Thank you ever so much.